Hey all, just wanted to get you ready. Fair warning, I have attempted to remove as much artifacting as I can, because we rendered the video once and there was some strange artifacting issues. So we've redone it. Hopefully they won't come back. Or, sorry, a whole bunch of things just decided they got plugged in for the first time. So here's hoping nothing goes wrong. I haven't tested it this time, so enjoy the show, folks.
Hi!
It's us again.
Oh yeah, you missed us, we know. Alright, so we are in some parking garage.
Yeah, nice brick walls.
Oh yeah, across from us you can't see the brick wall, but that's fine. So we're about to head out to the farmer's market in a part of town where parking is atrocious.
It's ridiculous.
And so I didn't even want to try to park near the farmer's market, so we parked in this mall parking lot basically. So we're gonna pretend like we're mall patrons, walk through the mall, and then go to the farmer's market.
Yep.
Alright.
Should be fun.
And it should be a good time, so see you guys in a few. Bye.
Oh, Ella Farms, they had great peaches last time.
Oh, they did. Doesn't look like they have any, fruit. Yeah. Oh god, I'm gonna squint so bad in this. Hi friends. Okay, bad choices. were
Bad
made.
choices. Okay,
Oh, God.
move it.
Okay, we're gonna walk for a half second. Oh my god, some shade.
Better.
Alright.
So much better. Okay.
Alright, there we go, friends. So, yeah. This farmer's market,
Not that impressive.
2 out of 10 is what I'm
Yeah,
looking
solid
at.
too. The one we went to last time.
We were thinking like a 7 out of 10, 8
yeah.
out of 10. It's just,
Sad.
yeah.
It's sad.
It's literally just like a craft fair. Way more than a farmer's market.
Yeah, I would definitely say about half of the booths are more craft oriented versus like produce. However, things that we found so far that's cool.
Yeah.
Knife sharpener.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. But
Yeah.
they're like food trucks and a lot of big companies like Honest Tea and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I said, 2 out of 10, not
Kind of
impressed.
disappointed. We're gonna see what we can find. So, actually, what were we kind of thinking about trying to do today, anyways?
Lots of fruit-based things.
Yeah, maybe some pie, maybe some jam. It's kind of
Those hand pies we were talking about earlier.
yum. It's dependent on kind of what we can actually find at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
So,
we'll see.
see you guys later.
Alright, bye. Hello friends, so we made a very sad discovery in that most places didn't take card.
Yeah. Of most of the, like, I don't know, 40 stalls that there were maybe 3 that actually sold vegetables.
Or fruit.
It was really disappointing. Because the one we went to last time was like, there wasn't even a cheese stand. There was no cheese to be bought for love or money. It was so sad.
Yeah.
So,
So now we're here at Whole Foods. Because A, they take card. B, they were right across the street. And C, they have a wider variety of produce.
because we really do want to make, we're going to make fruit pies and veggie hand pies for you guys. Not fruit and veggie, fruit, comma, veggie.
Yeah. that way.
So we actually needed vegetables to make.
However, they didn't have veggies that we could buy because they didn't take card. And the other place, we came prepared with cash, and they all took card, and we were like, okay, fine.
So,
So,
Whole Foods it is.
yeah. So we're gonna go on an adventure inside, pick up some produce, and we'll talk to you guys after we've been in the air conditioning for a little while. Cause good God, it's hot outside. Oh my God.
No. Just no.
Okay, that was an adventure. By adventure, I mean terrible life decision.
Yeah.
So, recap. That farmer's market, 2 out of 10 would not recommend.
No. When I went online this morning to check to see kind of just a little bit about this farmer's market, find some information, it was labeled as the Cadillac of farmer's markets. Cadillac, my left butt cheek. Not
Yeah.
a good farmer's market.
3 out of 50 stands had produce.
There was not a cheese person, and surprisingly, farmers markets are usually about supporting
Local.
like individual farmers
Yeah.
and like individual producers and small companies. There was like Eatai's, which is like a chain restaurant doing a bread stand. Honest Tea had a like tea stand.
And it's like, really? I don't want to come here and to support more big business.
I just want
Which
to buy.
I'm a part of a corporation, so I really don't care about big business. It's like, but it just defeats the point of a farmer's market. to me.
Exactly. Like when there's maybe, I don't know, 5 stands selling produce total out of the entire market, and the other half is like, there was a dress stand.
There are a couple clothing stands.
At like water bottles, novelty tea towels. Not to say I have anything against novelty tea towels, because I do love me a good novelty tea towel.
But a farmer's market?
I wanted
Not the
produce.
place.
I wanted heritage raised meats. I wanted a cheese stand. There was no cheese stand.
She's really hung up about
No
this
cheese stand. Okay, so whenever I think of farmers markets, I think of a place where you can go with your little shopping basket and assemble a picnic, something you could go wander and take to a park and sit in a city.
Not this.
Not this.
Not this.
Plus, it's really hot out today, so we're
Oh,
both like
it's so hot.
super pink. Like I'm sweating under my glasses.
Yeah.
And because we had to park in a mall parking structure, we both managed to lose the car.
I mean, I found it.
Yeah, with the use of a clicker.
Yeah. Thank God for the honky lock noises.
Yeah, but we ended one floor up
Up?
from it and somehow across, despite having gone out through the door we came in, down the stairs we came up, and following the signs,
It
we
was
managed to lose the car.
impressive.
Yeah, we ended up at 4A like we were supposed to, but somehow across from it and up.
So,
Pie is gonna be easier.
yes. And we're probably gonna have a little libation before we get started on the pie because, oh, it's not been our week.
No, we're gonna sit in the air conditioning, play with the puppies, drink, and then make pie.
And then make some fucking pie.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, I'm an air-conditioned creature. I don't like this heat. I'm not built for this heat. I'm not colored for this heat. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest,
here.
neither of us are.
Yeah, honey.
Like,
you
judging
got,
by the
you,
pink.
you got a little more melanin in your skin than I do.
No. Well, no as in you don't, and therefore suffer from the weather.
I do. So if I'm sunburnt, that'll be that. So we'll have an update on that by at least Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go. We're gonna drive home, and
make
we're
some
gonna get some
pie.
fucking alcohol in our systems.
Oh god, alcohol. Cold alcohol.
Cold alcohol.
We
Alright.
might make some of the drink recipes from last week.
We might. It's very possible. Also, we did stop at Whole Foods and get produce because all of the stands, most of the stands didn't take card, which last week we were like, yeah, they're not going to take cards. So we took cash last time. And then they all took card, and we
Which
were
was
like,
hunky-dory,
cool.
which
We
is
were
great.
like, yeah, this is great. So it set the standard, and this time it's like,
One stand took card. So, as we said, we're gonna go home and drink, and,
And
we're
then
gonna
we'll
make
make pie.
So, you can join us again then.
yes. Hello.
Hi there.
And we're home.
Yes, we are.
And that pot's supposed to be dirty. It's not.
That's okay.
It just does that. Alright, anyway. So we're back, finally. Good God, that took a really long time. Also, side note, before we get started on that, we stopped by Lollycup because the way Google was taking us home, I was like, oh cool, we can just stop by Lollycup.
We should tell them what lovely cup
I was gonna tell them what Lollycup is. So Lollycup is basically a place where you can get boba or bubble tea, which is basically a beverage with tapioca pearls in it.
Neither of which we like.
Yeah,
Or,
but
excuse me, neither of us like tapioca.
yes. However, they have milk tea, they have basically slushes and kind of icy slushes, and they have a bunch of different stuff. The drinks themselves are really good. The boba is totally optional.
Yeah, they have their traditional boba, they have jellies, and they have pudding.
Yeah.
Which I was confused by the pudding, but
Yeah.
whatever.
But we got some of that in Miriam. It's not been Miriam's day today.
I feel like today has just been like a, hey Miriam, you think something's gonna happen, right?
Right.
If it does, it's gonna go the opposite of how it's supposed to.
Yeah. So anyway,
So
long story short, drink explosion. Thankfully not on clothing.
over shoes. Apparently I don't know my own strength and managed to She-Hulk my straw into my cup and crack the cup at the same time.
It was really impressive.
Oh, and then also the whole flavor thing.
Yeah, so they have like 50 flavors.
So many different flavors, it's great.
So I was like, I get the same thing every time I get a pair. They call them snow bubbles, which are their creamy slushes.
Excuse
they don't
me,
have any-
move. What, did you eat that? Spit it out.
Probably. Hey,
I don't know if strawberries are okay for dogs.
probably not, but he didn't get a very big
Okay.
brush. You. Anyway, sorry. Small dog issue. Large dog issue, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, they have like 50 flavors. I get the same thing every time. Miriam was like, you know, we didn't get cherries at the farmer's market. There wasn't anything at the farmer's
And
market.
I'm wearing a cherry print dress too. See? See? Well, like,
You'll
see later.
Yeah.
But cherry print dress.
And so Miriam's like, I'm gonna get a cherry snow bubble. So she walks up and she's like, can I get a cherry snow bubble? And they're like, we're out.
And so my default is usually, okay, can I get a lemon one?
Also out.
And I'm just standing there like, oh, okay. And then I have to go and look at the board and be like, okay, what have you guys got?
Luckily the board is like right behind, so
Yeah.
it's not an awkward.
Yeah, so I end up getting grapefruit, which is perfectly delicious, by the way. I tend to like things more on the sour tart side than like super sugary sweet. It
Yeah.
was really good. But yeah, so I get my grapefruit one. It's perfectly delicious, but I managed to She-Hulk the cup and crack it down the side.
So,
And this is just after like we're like calming down, we're kind of relaxing, like
it's been a gross day.
it's hot. Neither of us are good with like huge groups of people, and Whole Foods is like crazy busy.
Well, even the farmer's market was stupid busy. Like, there were like, you needed your elbows to get even near the stand.
Yeah, like or oh god, the person with the umbrella too.
Oh my god. So, like, I get it. People walk around with umbrellas. Cool,
It's
fine,
bad.
whatever.
However, if you're
Sun
literally
protection.
standing in front of the stall
With a huge umbrella, it's not even like a normal
Golf umbrella,
size.
it
Yeah,
is.
it's huge. And this dude like walks up to the stall and he's punching people with his umbrella, and it just
both of us are just cranky by this point, so we get all of our stuff, and I'm just like, you know what, today is gonna be better. We get to Lollipop. It's cool, it's relaxing. It's very charming and
it
cute,
is.
and
It's
like
adorable. It's an adorable little.
it's
shop.
very like it's right next to a Chinese hot pot shop. It's
That's
like
new.
it's got several bookshelves full of manga, and I'm just like, oh, this is adorable. You can come in here and play like board games and things like that. And then I managed to like
She-Hulk.
So long story short,
We're home.
we're gonna probably be drinking. I'm actually right now chopping up some strawberries because we bought strawberries at the market, and we're gonna
Oh,
make
there's
there's
the cherry burnt dress, and then strawberries.
yeah, because we both decided we need alcoholic lemonades. So alcoholic strawberry lemonades are what I'm making.
So we're taking what we did last week, which is simple syrup making,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do that.
So
So also, just for reference, I have some simple syrup. Really bad. Here. Alright, get some simple syrup on the stove, 1-to-1 ratio, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of water. And let that finish coming to a boil.
then we're gonna dump the strawberries in.
The strawberries.
Strawberries, which I've chopped up to kind of, they're not huge pieces, but they're big enough so that they won't go to mush immediately. And then we're gonna mix that into the simple syrup, let that sit for like half an hour, blend it up, and mix it into some lemonade, which then we're gonna add vodka or gin, depending on your flavor preference.
Or lack of thereof.
Exactly.
So, we'll get that rocking and rolling. We're also gonna, once this is done, we're gonna start some pie dough making,
Yep.
which I think we'll just go ahead and transition into. Yeah, we'll transition into that, make the pie dough. Then we're gonna sit around, drink, watch some anime, chill out,
And then
cuddle
back
with
to
some
pie.
dogs, and then we'll make some pie.
It's gonna be a good Saturday. Oh, and then later I'm playing Honey Pop, which is y'all will see this on Tuesday. So I've played Honey Pop by this time.
By that time.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna be putting together the pie crust. So what ingredients you're gonna need? You're going to need flour. You're going to need a little bit of sugar, since we're gonna be making sweet pie crust, and then the only difference between making a sweet and savory pie crust is you leave the sugar out. So that's pretty easy. You're also going to need ice water, got a nice little cup of water with ice in it. The trick to making your pie dough stay flaky is to have all your ingredients as cold as possible. That way the butter has a chance to, and butter, I like to freeze butter. This is salted butter, so I'm not going to be putting any salt in it. And yes, you put salt even in sweet things because it makes the flavor somehow better.
It also helps with flour, like the flour interaction with the rest of the ingredients. Because if you don't put salt in, then like say you're making a batch of rolls, you can get really dead, hard, dense rolls.
Yeah.
I've forgotten salt before. That's what happens.
Then they're also tasteless.
Oh, they're
So
terrible.
tasteless.
Oh, they're terrible.
I remember the first time I made bread, I didn't put salt in the bread, and it was like, oh, this is awful. This is so
awful.
sad.
Oh.
Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to measure out my flour. So I've got a nice 1 cup measuring scoop. So we're going to do 4 cups of flour into a bowl. And you could do this in the mixer, but I'm going to do it by hand just in case you don't have a mixer. 2, 3, and 4. So if you're making pie crust using this recipe, this is usually enough to make both a top and a bottom crust, or a good amount of hand pies. I've usually been able to get like, I think a dozen hand pies that are about that big, maybe 8 by 4 out of it. So this will be really easy. Okay, so you've got your flour in the bowl. You're gonna add, I think I'm gonna add maybe 2 tablespoons of sugar to it. Not too, the whole thing is you don't want to add too much sugar to it, just because in case that changes the texture of the dough, but just enough to like lightly sweeten it. And if you're doing savory, leave your sugar out. So a little bit of sugar, mix that in. Mix that in really nicely with your hands. Get that all mixed in there. Okay, creepy voiceover over with. Next thing you're going to want to do is take your butter, nice frozen butter. Look, there's nothing I can do to it. And what I'm going to be doing to the butter is I'm going to be grating it on the largest setting of the grater. That way you get good bits that you can mix in.
And
So-
I buy a couple pounds of butter at a time, and I keep most of the, like every pound but 1 frozen. Oh, yeah, the container's still in the fridge. But yeah, so I always have some frozen butter, so that's nice. That was nice because otherwise we would have had to freeze some butter, so.
So yes, for the super fascinating way of watching the grate butter, it's pretty much, you want good sized pieces. So the bigger your butter flake, the flakier your crust. So if you're going to do like an actual pie instead of a hand pie, I would suggest maybe doing a smaller smaller butter chunk, because then you're going to have a slightly denser pie crust, which means that your fruit is not going to bleed through your pie, making for a soggy bottom crust, because nobody likes soggy bottoms. I had to make that joke. 'Twas necessary. I felt so. So I'm just grating butter.
That shit's rock solid.
Yep, you can hear it just. Alright. So you get the idea. I'm just gonna turn this off and we're gonna go to when the butter is completely grated.
We'll just do a little TV time.
And okay, so as you can see, I've got the butter all nice and grated, nice and fine. So what I'm going to do is start bringing the crust together. So what you're going to want to do is start tossing the butter in with the flour. I'm trying to be really careful with this because I don't want to make a huge mess all over the counter, because that just means a mess you have to clean up later. So what you're really trying to do is get the butter incorporated into the flour, so you want to toss that in. And with your hands, kind of start squeezing and kneading so the butter and flour are rubbed in together really well, so that it's nicely combined. And since I grated since I grated the butter, this takes less time than if you cut chunks up and do it that way, because that takes forever.
Yeah. And if you want to be really lazy, or if you have it, you can put your butter through a food process.
With all the flour, and that just cuts the butter into it really well. If you don't want to use your hands, you can use a fork, but or a pastry blender. But for me, there's something about getting your hands into what you're working with that I really enjoy. And yes, be as dirty as you want with that, because I know that sounds weird. So as you can see, if I squeeze it, it kind of holds itself together, which means that butter is pretty well rubbed into the flour, I have to say. What do you think, Haley? Nice squeeze, holds itself together?
Yeah.
So next I'm going to add the water, a couple tablespoons at a time. You don't want to add too much water, because once it's in, it's in.
You're not getting that back out.
Nope. So we're going to try to avoid the ice cubes, but as I said, cold water for cold pie crust. And the trick is you want to try to keep your pie crust as cold as possible when you're working with it. So I put about 6 tablespoons of water in. 7, 8. And I'm just going to start mixing it in. Because as I said, you can always add more, you can never take it out. Or if you do add too much, it then becomes a game of how much flour can I add to counteract the amount of water that I put into it. See how it's already starting to clump together? See? I want to add some more water then. Because you're just trying to bring it into a really loose dough. Not too sticky. But just enough. I'm going to start pouring the water now, just a little at a time. Okay, that should be good. It's probably about a 1/4 cup right there. Take the ice cube out. One of these days we'll figure out a better angle for mixing.
Yeah.
But as you can see, the dough is continuing to come together. See, as I squeeze it, kind of holds a shape. Not quite enough water in there yet because it's still really crumbly. But you want to go ahead and add another little 1/4 cup of water, just a little at a time. Kind of scrape my hands off a little bit at a time. And for me, once it's starting to come together as a shaggy dough, I like to turn it out of the bowl onto the countertop.
I'm gonna throw things. And then you have to help me, Ariana.
I appreciate the help, because then
There's some counter space.
you can really start kneading the dough together.
Done.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I have gloved hands is because I'm doing some of our basic veg prep that you've seen already. So, cutting up an onion, garlic. Yeah, very simple things
That stink.
that stink a lot. So,
As we've mentioned in past videos, gloves when you're using these things.
yeah. 'Cause I hate putting my hands up to my face and smelling some sort of.
And like that stuff will linger.
Oh my god, I think it's so bad.
So this is still just a little dry, so we're just gonna put a little more water to it. A couple splashes. I actually think that's got just enough water in that. So I'm just going to bring the rest of the flour in.
You talked about shallots before?
I don't think we actually have talked about shallots before. Okay. So this pie crust is just about together. So much crinkling. Okay, so I've got the pie dough together. See? It's not super dry, it's not super wet. Just a little bit crumbly still. Not too sticky.
Alright. Quick culinary lesson to this little beauty is a shallot. It's basically like an onion and some garlic got together.
Had a tasty, tasty baby.
So it's a little more fragrant. It's a little less potent than garlic.
It doesn't sting your eyes when you cut it open.
No, so it's got characteristics of both onion and garlic. The garlic, it's got a crossover flavor, so it's not as powerful or as pungent as either of the two.
And they tend to be a little bit sweeter when you cook with them. It's a good, so French cooking, you tend to use a lot of shallots.
Yeah, really do.
They're delicious with white wine and mushrooms. We also happen to have bought some mushrooms, so you'll see us tasting that and making like cross-eyed happy faces. Okay.
And we also have some white wine.
Yes. So, with the pie crust, what you want to do is form it into 2 parts. Shape it up, make it kind of a flat disc. Then you're going to be wrapping these in plastic wrap and putting them in the fridge for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour if you're going to try to use it today, and then if you can use it later in the week, you can just freeze it at this point and then pull it out to thaw when you need it. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing now is getting the pear and apple filling ready for some of the pies, because as we mentioned, we're going to be doing sweet pies and savory pies. So we've got these lovely little pears here. Pretty small, they're about the size of my hand. I happen to believe in the mindset if it's tiny and if it's tinier than it normally should be, I might purchase it. So this is going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to be peeling the pears and then cutting them up into chunks, and then I'll be doing the same with the apples. So, trash bag. Ooh, that's a ripe pear. See, I can just dent that with a fingertip. They're so buttery and ripe. So you know how often you get pears and they're just kind of mealy and sad? These are not going to be like that. Which is really awesome, which means I'm not going to need to put quite as much sugar in, since the natural sweetness of the pears is going to be there.
Alrighty, and just a quick invasion. Sure, we'll go with that. I've been dicing up. We got these baby potatoes that I diced up. So we have some purple, some russets, and some Yukons. So they've all got a little bit different characteristics to them, but they are going to be for the potato portion. And then
So as we said, we're going to be making both sweet pies and savory pies.
there's the onion and shallot. The shallot's the purple, the onion's the white. So the plan for the savories is, we're gonna take the shallots and onions, saute them down, a little white wine, and we're gonna build kind of a sauce. So a little bit of flour, probably a little bit of butter, and then we're gonna take the veggies, so carrots, potatoes, corn, and mushrooms, and we're gonna roast all that off. And then we'll kind of toss it with the gravy we made per se, and then we'll use that as a filling.
So it should be pretty good, but as you can see, I'm peeling pears. Nothing too interesting here.
And we did get some purple carrots.
You know, if it's a different color, that's always fun too.
That's kind of fun.
Seriously. But yeah, nothing too interesting, just peeling pears.
I am doing veg prep on a different board on the other side of the kitchen, just so we're not totally in each other's way.
Yeah, as we've learned from the first episode, it helps if we're both doing things. And also kind of planning the order in which we're doing them.
Yeah.
So right now, the vegetables, or not the vegetables, the pie crusts are in the fridge chilling. Since you want to give those, as I said, about half an hour to 1 hour to really rest. Because as I was putting it together, I was kneading them, which is creating gluten, but you really want that gluten to relax before you do anything with it. And too much gluten makes really tough pie crust.
Yeah, makes gross pie crust.
Yeah, you don't want your pie crust to be like dense and awful. You want it to be light and flaky and delicious.
You want one of each, or you want?
I think I want one of each. That should be fine. Yeah. So,
These are my favorite produce bags.
oh, they're so cute. They're netting produce bags so that they can breathe.
Yep, and so they're reusable.
Mm-hmm.
So they're fun.
I managed to shoot myself in the glasses with some of the pear juice. They're that ripe.
Nice.
They're that ripe and that delicious.
You're in the way.
We currently have the puppies hopping around right now as well, so.
Yep. Steven is not home, so puppies are roaming free.
Freedom!
I'm batting him in the face with the bag apple.
I really like making pie. There's just something relaxing about it. Even hand pies, they're just... It's just nice. But I will say that because these are so ripe, they're getting really slippery. It's like, no, I will hold on to you. Don't run away from me. I love you.
Not so sure about that.
It's doubting our relationship. And we'll show you when we actually start to put together our strawberry lemonade as well, because we haven't quite put that together since the strawberry syrup is kind of warm still.
Not for long.
Nope, it's in the freezer. Okay. See, nice strawberry syrup. So what we ended up doing is after we steeped the strawberries in the simple syrup, we blended them in
Yeah.
for a little extra fruitiness.
Yeah, there you get a better angle like that.
Yeah, nice pink.
So it's still a little bit warm. So we're just gonna let it chill out.
And just going ahead and peeling everything.
Yeah, in the center it's still about 107 degrees. In the center it's still about 107.
Oh yeah, that's gotta cool down a little bit.
But it was well worth it.
It's gonna be tasty when it's done.
Oh my God.
So what sort of things have you been making right now, Haley? Just like in your normal everyday life.
I made these kind of breakfast sandwich things that I froze. So I did egg, bacon, and cheese on bagels and froze them. So all you had to do was nuke them.
Tasty.
So, what about you?
You know. What have I been making recently? Did some slow cooker chicken that was really good
Oh yeah.
with a bottle of beer and some barbecue sauce. So all I had to do was pull out some chicken, throw it together with some rice, and that was lunch for work.
Nice.
We were both talking about the fact that we do miss, in our everyday work lives, we do miss the creation of food, just like for fun, instead of more technical stuff, since I've just been testing at work recently. So, there's something about coming back to what is fun to make. That's just really relaxing.
Well, I think it makes it more enjoyable when you
It
can do it
does.
at home versus when you have to cook at work and then you come home and you're like, ugh.
I don't want to do anything having to do with my kitchen. I'm gonna go home and lay down.
Yeah. Well, and then you just don't eat as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of consequence to.
There's something to be said for weekend meal prepping, though.
Oh my god. So the best thing to do. Like even just putting some salad mix in some containers with, you know, a little bit of protein or extra veg or whatever.
Chopped and ready to go.
Makes it so much easier to eat better.
And then have your dressing in like little mason jars ready to go for the week. So, awful like crunching sound of my bags. Peeler?
Yeah. And you
Okay.
feel carrots.
So, as you can see, I have all of my fruit peeled and ready to go, so I'm just going to go ahead and chop it. For apples, you just kind of cut around the core. So you hold it steady. Set it down flat. And you just keep cutting.
Actually, I'm gonna do these carrots and discs if you're cool with that.
Totally. It's easier. Ooh, those are pretty. So Haley right now is peeling the carrots for the pies. Because the nice thing about this is you want a good hearty filling if it's going to be like a veggie or a meat pie. And we're keeping these vegetarian today, but you can just as easily like add some cooked sausage or bacon or like leftover whatever meat you want to eat. So
these are the purple carrots.
all nice and peeled.
So they've got that center to them, but they're
So
really
pretty.
beautiful.
Alright, so I've got the apples. So what I'm going to do with the apples is I'm just going to cut kind of large chunks because you want them to really hold their shape when they cook. So as you can see, kind of large chunk. There we go. Large chunks, and those are going to go into my pot. So I should say I've got a, what's the type of apple I've got? I've got a Granny Smith and I've got a Fuji and a Fuji apple to go along with my pears. So just add a little more body, a little more flavor. Because pear can sometimes get a little bit lost. And I find apple and pear tend to go really well together.
They go beautifully together.
My dad makes this cheesecake with pears on it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. He does the whole arrange your slices of pear like a rose on the top. It's very delicate and very pretty. Maybe I'll get his recipe from him and we'll make it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's almost like a cross between a cheesecake and a tart because he makes it in a tart pan. So it's a really thin layer of everything. It's very satisfying. Yeah, so crushing gender norms all the time. My dad makes cheesecake. Delicious, delicious cheesecake.
I think it's more about the rose formation.
Oh, well, there's that too. He likes making things look nice.
You know, more than the cheesecake aspect, I think it's more the rose formation. It's crushing.
But it looks really pretty when he does it.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I'm just saying, like, that is something very thin.
So, yeah, you do the pears the same way as you do the apple. There's a core running down the center. You just... This is that green one that was not as ripe. So if you give it a little helping hand. See? Then you have the core of the pear. Okay, we had a little bit of a moment with the card, but we're back now, so I'm going to continue chopping the pears. So as I said, you kind of cut around the core.
Dun, 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 dun. Golden brown and delicious. Look at that perfection.
Or at least we'll find out if they're delicious when they cool enough. So you
Well,
don't
if the
get...
filling's good, I think we can put a pretty safe
That's
bet.
fair. And
Oh yeah,
nice and crispy. The thump.
the thumb.
So,
Alright. These are done. Others are in the oven. These ones we crimped, and then I figured out that's a pain in the ass. So the other ones are just the ones you watch me finger press. So, anyway, this concludes our hand pie stream.
deliciousness.
Cooking segment, whatever the hell you want to call this damn thing. Except you won't unless you're Gothic.
So, thanks Gothic, you'll get pie.
You will totally get pie.
Wait for it.
There we go.
Delicious and easy as pie. Live with it!
Hi friends. So I've finally taken over because Miriam's really sick of talking.
If that's a thing.
Yes, that is a thing. So here we have our savory pie crust, the one that we did not put sugar into. So we're just going to go ahead and roll this out into a rectangle. So I'm just going to set it up in kind of a rectangle type shape so that I can keep the rectangle. So this is still cold right out of the fridge, so it's going to take a little bit of muscle. Also works if you have a rolling pin with heft. to it until you slam it in the counter. And then it doesn't work quite so well. And I'm getting my face in the shot. So you'll keep rolling it out, making sure you keep it fairly even. I'll keep your counter floured. That'll allow you to roll the dough out without it sticking, because if you stick, you're kind of screwed. And that goes for the top too. And you don't need to like sandstorm it, so just enough. I do a 45 rotation just to make sure I'm keeping everything fairly even. Because that is the thing, is you will tend to roll heavier one way versus the other, so keeping the rotation in there helps keep your pie dough more even. So super easy. Just roll it until you got it relatively thin. A little thinner, Miriam?
Actually, that's just a smidgen thinner. Maybe another full rotation. The 45 and then the next 45. Unlike making pie dough like you'd make for an actual pie, you want this to be a little on the thinner side, so maybe quarter to an eighth, because you want to have a nice crust on the outside, but enough space for your filling. And it kind of sucks when you get more filling in a mouthful than you do crust, or more crust in a mouthful than you do filling.
That.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so you can see it's pretty thin. You can see my fingers through it. It's not sticking. I like to pull that up and just double check before I start cutting.
It's also nice and cold still.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is if it gets too warm, then you're not gonna, I know. I just wanted to see if I could find, because I only have like 4. On the other counter. It's like, I know it's somewhere. Pizza cutter. This is the way to cut pie dough. You'll get relatively straight edges. And you want to go ahead and square this sucker off, so that way you can build all your pies at once. And this is totally the way to do it. You're fairly decent, even cut all the way around. Alright. So there's that. So fourths again? And thirds. So we'll go ahead and cut this in about thirds. Yeah. And these may not be the straightest cuts ever, but that's okay. Because half of what the joy of hand making things is that they're a little rustic looking. Alrighty. So we've got our 12 pieces, and we'll go ahead and build these on a sheet pan, just so that way we'll make life easier. Some of these you might need to kind of pinch out, stretch out just a little bit, because when you do use the top pieces, there will be filling, and so you'll need the top piece to be just ever so slightly bigger to encompass the filling. So I'm just going to take some of these smaller pieces and do that really quick. And your pie dough is still fairly cold, so should be good. And right now we're working on just the savory pies. Since those were 2 batches of dough, we're just getting the other batch done. So hopefully by the time this is done, we did a batch already, and they should be coming out of the oven. So we'll line these up. And then we've got these guys, which I'll just lay over the rolling pin, since it is right here. Alright. So here we have all the pies laid out. And then what you'll want to do is take some egg wash, which is just one beaten egg with a little bit of water. You'll brush them down. And you don't necessarily need to do all the inside, but it just makes life a little bit easier than trying to go around the outside when you don't have to. But the egg wash, what this will do is this will act kind of like culinary glue. So when you put that top piece on, you'll have this, the egg wash will be there to make it stick. So we've done a little bit of egg wash on them all. So we'll go ahead and do filling. So we have a cookie scoop here. That's just kind of what we're used to using. It's probably about a little more than a tablespoon. And we just lay that out right along the middle. So we'll go ahead and do that for them all. As soon as you kind of let it go, pull it around so that way you've got a decent amount of filling in there, but not too much. It's surprising how much filling you don't necessarily need with these. So just finish these two up, and we'll start with the top bits. That's okay. So, and you want to be careful not to put too much filling in, otherwise it's just going to spill out the sides, and that doesn't make for a very lovely hand pie now, does it? I don't really think you can eat it if it's all falling out on you. So, we've got them all filled, so I'm just going to take a piece, just do a little bit of a stretch on it, set it over the top, and then use my fingers to kind of crimp the dough. You can do this with a fork, but if you're doing it on the sheet pan, it can be a little hard to get the fork in there. So if you just do kind of a really nice finger crimp, or you can do a fold over crimp if you're making bigger hand pies. So these little guys are fairly small, they're kind of Pop-Tart sized, which you can make these kind of any size you want. So this one I'm going to stretch just a touch, lay it down, and just get a really nice seal on it. And I go ahead and I just pull these out a little bit, stretch, and set. And normally you could, sometimes you would want to vent these, but these ones were kind of creating like a little oven. So sometimes you'll see them with slits cut across the top. That's if you do a fully cooked filling, usually. And so this has been cooked a little bit, but it could use a little bit longer. So we're going to go ahead and use the, what I might call the oven method. Yeah, and so these are the savory ones, and so you'll want a little bit more of a cooked filling. But for something like the fruit pies, which don't need to be cooked quite as much, those ones will go ahead and slit and vent them. And so it'll be pretty much the same process with the fruit pies. You'll just take a knife, and you'll just cut a couple of slits in the top. So this guy's almost done. And then finally, so these are all put together, so we'll take just a little bit of egg wash, and the egg wash on the top allows for browning. So it gives you that really beautiful kind of golden brown and delicious, was how we judge a lot of our recipes. It's like, how long does it take to cook? Till it's done. Till it's golden brown and delicious is usually what you're talking about. So, and these, without having any meat in them, it's nice because you don't need to make sure they're cooked to a certain temperature for food safety. So it's really just until they're golden brown. So you want to make sure to get the full thing, because that would be a little weird if you and you can really tell when you do an egg wash if you miss a spot, because it won't be as shiny, and it won't be as pretty, and so. Alright, so these suckers are all egg washed, so we'll get these in the oven. We have a batch in there right now. They're not done yet, but we'll come back to you when we have some finished ones. Dun 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 dun! Golden brown and delicious. Look at that perfection.
Or at least we'll find out if they're delicious when they cool enough. So you
Well,
don't
if the
get...
filling's good, I think we can put a pretty safe
That's
bet.
fair. And
Oh yeah,
nice and crispy. The thump.
the thumb.
So,
Alright. These are done. Others are in the oven. These ones we crimped, and then I figured out that's a pain in the ass. So the other ones are just the ones you watch me finger press. So, anyway, this concludes our hand pie stream.
deliciousness.
Cooking segment, whatever the hell you want to call this damn thing. Except you won't unless you're Gothic.
So, thanks Gothic, you'll get pie.
You will totally get pie.
Wait for it.
There we go.
Delicious and easy as pie. Live with it!
Hey, all, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We will be back next week with whatever on earth Haley and Miriam are cooking then. We'll see you then, and we'll see you tomorrow for the rest of our goofy-ass streams that you've come to expect. See y'all then. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please consider checking out some of the other videos that are playing alongside this one, and maybe think about checking us out on Twitter, Facebook, our Twitch. We're still running a 365-day streaming challenge, and maybe consider supporting us over on Twitch or on Patreon if you really like we did, and if you want to get access to some of our other stuff like the Derpy Puppy feed or our Patreon-only stuff. Either way, thanks y'all.